Forget golf. Forget tennis. Forget pickleball. When it comes to the outdoors, Oregon's favorite pastime is hiking. In fair weather and in foul, we take to the trails to reconnect with nature and ourselves. Trails aren't just some place we go. They're some place we treasure. Each year, thousands of Oregonians volunteer tens of thousands of hours to build, maintain, and repair trails. And when disaster strikes, we mobilize. 2017's Eagle Creek Fire engulfed 48,000 acres of the Columbia River Gorge and 125 miles of Oregon's favorite trails. From Mount Defiance to Multnomah Falls to Angel's Rest and beyond. Ironically, our love of wilderness made the fire worse than it needed to be.
As tragic as the Eagle Creek fire was, I think it's really important to note a couple of things. The first being that fire is a natural and important part of forest ecology. And the worst thing that we have done as stewards is spent 100 years suppressing fire. And we've now created an environment in which fires burn hotter than they ever would have naturally.
The gorge burned for 3 months. Even before the fire was out, federal and state agencies marshaled their forces to tackle the jobs too big and too dangerous for anyone but professionals. Volunteers rallied to take on everything else.
Within the year after the fire, we had over 1,000 instances of volunteers coming out on trail crews. And it just kept on climbing from there.
Eagle Creek set a new standard for fire response statewide. Most trails are open again, but the fires set other forces in motion, especially in the gorge.
I like to call the gorge a giant pile of gravel, just trying to make its way to the Columbia River as fast as possible. And pre-fire, that advance was hindered by a great deal of moss and undergrowth and all the kind of vegetation that you see in this region. And after the fire, a lot of that ground cover was burned away. Now here, 4 or 5 years out, a lot of this standing deadwood is starting to fall. And then you had winter rains come through and really lubricate all of the soil, all of the rock and gravel. It can cause more debris flows than would occur right after the fire. So you have understory recovery that happens pretty quickly. But due to the composition, the geological composition of the gorge, it just can't hold back that inexorable march of gravity.
That inexorable march creates an insatiable demand for new volunteers, each with their own motivation.
So we got married at Triangulation Peak on May of 2020. So being out here and being a part of helping clean the forest, to us it means a lot because it really is home and it's a really treasured area.
And I enjoy being outside, and especially with other people, and I didn't have any friends here because we just moved here. So it was like, that's something I can do. So I looked up the trail maintenance in the area and found TKO.
Before Durham was a coordinator, he was a volunteer.
And so as things were falling apart in my personal life and things were very unsatisfying in my professional life, I was really looking for someplace to belong that gave a constructive dopamine hit.
Trail work can be eye-opening on a multitude of levels.
I always thought a bulldozer or a bobcat tractor went through and just plowed the way. I never really realized that it was people with shovels and chainsaws and picks and axes that actually handmade each one of these trails.
as you can imagine, the weekday trail party crowd is a lot of retiree-aged people, and they always like whoop my ass on like fitness. I'm just like, how are you so like much stronger than me?
You have some volunteers that come out and they are in it for the work. They want to wear themselves out. They want to get as much done as possible. And then you have other volunteers come out that maybe aren't at peak physical condition, you know, that value the social aspect of the experience as much or more than the work.
As a stewardship coordinator, Durham's priorities are keeping trail work safe, fun, and productive.
There's a lot of pieces to come together and come out for 3/4 of a day and maintain trail. A lot of communication, a lot of paperwork and safety planning and all these pieces that got to come together. But when it does, you know, walking back over the work you've done for the day is incredibly powerful.
Durham has come full circle. Today, the one-time volunteer is on constant lookout for future crew leaders.
I really try to live vicariously through our volunteers and get the reward from facilitating that growth and that experience. The transition of someone first coming to volunteer with us, and I can see that spark in their eyes where it's like, oh, they get it. They get the work, they get the social aspect of the experience, they get what we as an organization are doing, and taking that and fostering it into a leadership role within the organization at whatever level they're comfortable with. That's a really rewarding experience. Our backbone is volunteer leadership and volunteer engagement, and without that, we've got nothing.